Welcome back to Spa Business Mastery. I am Kirsten Foss, and today we have Delia, our spa marketing director here at Kirsten Foss Coaching and Virtual Spa Business Management. And over the past few months, we have been talking about spa events, and in particularly how to launch a spa event. Because as we know, Delia, both of us have been in the spa industry for a very long time. And while events are very common, especially like twice a year events, one in the spring, one in the fall, we notice that the spa industry is not doing them as efficiently and profitably as they could be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big, there's a lot of moving parts in an event. And if you haven't been listening to our podcast the past couple of months, the reason why we're talking about hosting spa events is because we are now certified launch managers for doing online launching for events. And so Delia, I wanted to make sure Delia was coming on talking about events in particular over the summer, because we know that in the fall, when you are planning to host your event, a lot of times you are not giving yourself enough time to execute it as effectively as you can. So Delia, why don't we start with, if you could share what exactly do events do for spas? Because I think sometimes some spa owners, especially new spa owners, they just see what other spas are doing and they kind of follow that without really knowing why they're doing something. They kind of think they know, but let's get super clear about what is the goal of a spa event.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's very, very typical as well too. You watch what somebody else has done and you think, okay, let's, turn this into our own. But again, there's so many pieces and a lot of potential opportunity when you do host an event. And so one of the biggest things is it's a way for new people to hear about what you do. It brings you new eyeballs into your business as well. So especially if you are a new spa, getting new clients is definitely, priority for the most part.
So I just want to pause you for a second, because I think what we also need to be clear about is a lot of times spas are hosting events for their existing clients.
Yeah.
And they're missing a huge opportunity to start looping in new eyeballs and new business. So that's what you're talking about, is that opportunity to get new people coming in to your event.
Yeah, along with your regular clientele. And I mean, this could even just be them bringing a friend with them, right? So as far as events go, that's one of the biggest reasons that, your event can be successful, is to have new eyeballs in your biz. The other part is, to raise awareness, to learn about what you sell, or if you've got a new product that you've brought in or a new service. It's a great way to offer solutions to your clients' pain points.
And in a really big way, like a really big splashy way.
In an exciting way, right? So this is where you're kind of pumping them up to be excited about what you've got for them coming up in the event. Coming up in store for them. So, and especially if you're doing it seasonality as well too, seasonally you're doing it, clients are waiting for the new things to come in. So they get excited about that kind of thing. And the other way is it's a great, and we're kind of in a virtual world right now. So a lot of the events have typically been in person, but we're also shifting over to online events. So even when everything starts going back to, pretty much normal, you can still have online events, you can still have in-person events, but it's a great way for your clients to buy what you have, but in a fun way. It's fun, interactive. Again, it solves their problem. And then it further develops your authority on your expertise on a topic, and it deepens their trust. So you're providing that value for them. You're filling the gaps in the things that they need. You're being the expert on the topic. You're speaking. You're presenting, and again, they're buying into your expertise. And you're also creating personal connections, and you're nurturing future client relationships as well too. So
it's not like, I think a lot of times spa owners, even if you are out of the treatment room, the primary place where your relationships are developing are happening in a treatment room, one-to-one.
Yeah.
So what events also do is kind of allow you to share, to just engage in more of a one-to-many, to get out of that one-to-one treatment room.
Yeah, exactly. And the other piece to that as well too, it's everybody's stage through your spa's sales funnel is going to be different. So while you might have people show up to the event who know you, already trust you, have already purchased from you, those are likely going to be the ones that you're going to get more of those purchases out of. But the other piece to that as well too is, even if somebody doesn't buy from you during your event, you're still creating those personal connections. And again, that will help you really solidify any future events as well too. So they're going to remember that you had this great event, they had a lot of fun, and they're interested in a new relationship with you, whether that be coming to your next event, coming into your spa for more treatments, referring other clients as well too. And the other part to this is, as you just said, Kirsten, we're used to being in the treatment room one-on-one. It creates another revenue stream for you outside of the treatment room as well. So you don't always have to be in it. You can be outside of the treatment room and doing something else that you enjoy as well too, and maybe isn't so physically demanding on your body. It gives you a little bit of break, but you still get to have that interaction, meet new people, host an enjoyable event. And yeah, so those would be, I'd say, some of the main goals of what the event goals would be and what they can do for you and your business. The piece I think that comes with that is, the next step in that is that you need to make sure that you have a strategic launch timeline, and you need to have specific actions that are happening within specific weeks leading up to your launch.
And this is where our launch manager certification for us came in,
right.
Because, and this is where I'm circling back at to the beginning of this conversation of, we often in the spa industry use events as a customer appreciation kind of goal primarily, but there are so many other goals, and really important ones, like being a separate revenue stream that happens twice a year, or maybe you have twice a year in-person events, and then you have twice a year online events, so that you can capture more consumers, eyeballs, sales from outside your location. And I think the biggest piece that we, like both Delia and I, want our spa owners, the spa industry to hear is that the online coaching industry we can take a piece out of the online coaching industry in terms of launching events, because the online coaching industry has been doing this for quite a long time. And they have the whole model of, one person online doing a webinar or some sort of education to many people, and then offering some sort of sales opportunity at the end of that event. And with the online coaching industry, those sales are exponential. They are huge. They are sales that the spa industry would be like, oh my God, is that possible? Yeah. And so this is why Delia and I took our launch manager certification, so that we could bring what the coaching industry knows about doing event launches and bring it over to our industry, so that we can maximize our event launches in a way more powerful way, in terms of, engagement with our clients, but also with revenues.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the other part to that as well too is that, oftentimes we have events, we throw events, and, we think that they work okay. But it's also very overwhelming to put it all together as well, right? So there's that overwhelm piece, and, really having that strategic launch timeline with specific actions happening in specific weeks leading up to your event helps to get you organized and get you structured properly, so that it can take a lot of that overwhelm away for you. Absolutely. And I think a lot of that comes from just kind of frantically trying to put it all together and thinking that, you know what you know, so and maybe you've watched how other launches or events have gone, and you're following suit with, another spa that you've maybe worked for or went to or know about. And so just having a plan for it really helps to maximize your potential for your next event and take a lot of that overwhelm away.
Absolutely. So Delia, what I want you to share with our listeners now is like the first thing. I'll start with the first point, and that is if you are planning an event for the fall, say October, November, that we want you to start thinking about what your goals are for that event. But more importantly, what we want you to recognize is that you absolutely need to put your project manager hat on at this point. If you are planning on hosting an event, project manager hat on, like right now. And right now is more kind of thinking about what your goals are. But what Delia wants to share with you next is an example of the timeline that you need to get all of the things done that needs to happen in a launch done, so that you're not getting to that 2 weeks before the event and you're just starting at that point, because that is a huge recipe for a bucket load of stress, not maximizing your results of the actual event, getting your team all organized and their knickers in a twist if they don't understand what's happening because you're a hot mess. So Delia, why don't you now start in and share with them kind of a frame up the timeline that they want to be and the tasks that they need to be doing.
Sure. Typically for a successful event, and we definitely recommend this, and that you're not planning it 2 weeks ahead. I mentioned in the last podcast when we spoke that I've been to events where we threw it together in a week and we had no shows. It was very embarrassing. We had blocked off the whole entire day, so we weren't making any money in the spa whatsoever, and nobody showed up. We did not give it enough thought. We didn't give it enough time, and we also didn't give it enough time to nurture those clients through email marketing, social media posts and whatnot leading up to the event. It's just not enough time to be able to get the event to where you need it to be and to make it successful. So your first 5 weeks of your event prep is you've got your strategy, you've got your decision making about the event. So that's the who, what, when, where, and why. You're going to be writing copy. You've got sales page copy. You've got email marketing copy.
Social media copy.
Exactly. Then you've got some designing that you're going to have to do as well too, because you're going to want different types of templates on your social media. They come in different sizes. You need to have a very clear sales page as well too, that walks everybody through, what the event is all about.
I think that's going to be a bit surprising for most spa owners in terms of needing a sales page for your event, because I'm not sure I've actually ever seen a spa have a kind of an official sales page for their event. Normally what I see is that there's some emails that go out. There is maybe a shelf talker in the spa somewhere, a couple of places, and then they're verbally telling people. But there's not, this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of taking a page from the coaching industry. Having a sales page is that one page where people can read the features, the benefits, your testimonials. You're going to really highlight their pain points, the client's pain points, and what it can be like. And so that sales page is super powerful in the coaching industry, because that's how you convert interested eyeballs online into really a warm audience for you that wants to listen to you at an event.
Yeah, definitely.
So that sales page design, the whole sales page concept, I think is going to be new for spa owners.
Yeah, I can't say that I've seen one either, other than the ones that we've done ourselves. But so there's design, there's writing, and then you've got to upload all those emails that you've written. You've got to go through scheduling sequence. You need to map out what that looks like. So typically with an event, your launch that you're doing, you're writing, 7 to 10 emails pre-launch, and then emails after the launch as well too, to whether you've got replays that you're sending, or reminders for event only promotions that you've got on, that type of thing. So you've got to think about all those pieces that as you're walking your client through kind of a journey to get them where you want them to be. And you'd already mentioned creating the social media. So you've got your social media content, and you've also got your social media graphics that are specific to your event as well too. And then you've got to make sure that there's like a testing period. So you want to make sure that when you're sending things out, that everything works, right? It would be, it does happen. And so you have to be prepared to, act quick and make some shifts if there's broken links and whatnot, but you want to do all your testing just to make sure that the initial testing.
So we call this tweak week.
Week, exactly. We make tweaks if we have any shifts that we need to do. We also pay attention to the messaging and how that messaging is working. And so sometimes there's some shifts in what we're saying if we're finding that maybe we're getting a little bit stuck on conversions, right? So maybe some of that copy that you've written on your sales page needs to be tweaked just a little bit.
Yeah.
And are you regularly, we talked about this last time, are you regularly emailing your clients on a regular basis through, your monthly newsletters? Because you can't just go and blast your clients with a whole bunch of emails.
Like I've not been sending email newsletters once a month at least, and then all of a sudden you blast out 7 emails pre-event. Yeah, your list is going to be wondering what the heck is going on because you haven't warmed them up properly.
And they're just going to come out of the blue. And why all of a sudden would they be interested if you haven't been interested in sending them prior, right? So if you aren't doing email marketing on a regular basis, at least once a month, then your event plan timeline needs to extend just a little bit, because you need at least a month of list building, of email marketing to be able to warm up that audience, or if you need more people on your email list as well too. So
and then what you're talking about with that is that's having an opt-in. And actually I saw Maxine's email just came through this morning with her content. And it was talking about email marketing and in particular how to get more, it was about list building. And she was talking about how to build an opt-in. So that's definitely, if you are wanting to host an event, you don't do any email marketing, looking at list building techniques is something that you want to look into to get started on.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So, okay. So that's the first 5 weeks.
Those are the first 5 weeks is really where your focus should be. So you got to figure out what it is that your strategy is, the who, what, when, where, why, how, and then all the elements that go into creating.
Mm-hmm. And then week 6 is when the actual event happens.
Right. So that's your sales event. So it's not, that's when everything starts going out. So now you've prepped all your emails, you've prepped all your social media, and now this is the starting launch of your event. And so it's a launch period that builds up to your event, and it's more opportunity for you to sell and serve as well too.
All right. And then we have, and then you have your event.
Yep. So
and then we don't want to forget, like a really big piece is after the event happens. So you have a lot of times with spas, their events, it's that night or that day, and then that's it. But we definitely recommend having an open cart, whether you're in spa or you're doing this online, so that there's a bit of time for residual sales. And then the last bits are just about debriefing, aren't they?
Yeah, usually once your event's open, your cart is closed. Typically, you leave the cart open, meaning that any sales or special VIP promos that you've had on that day, exclusive to those who attended your event only. Those were those after emails that we were talking about. It just gives them more time, because again, not everybody's ready to buy right then and there, and so you're still nurturing that relationship after your event as well too. Maybe they need a little bit of time to think about it. So then you want to know, how did it all work? So at the end of your sales event, you've got to go through a debrief and data analysis. Because if you don't know how well you did, then how can you make any improvements, or set any benchmarks for your future events, right? Especially if you've never had an event before, whether it be online or in spa. You need to have, there's kind of standard conversion rates that you should be hitting, based on your list size and audience size and whatnot. But if you haven't ever done this before, then you need kind of a benchmark to start from, so that you know where you can go to and continue to scale and increase for next time. So,
and I know that spa owners don't love metrics, but what we want to make sure that you understand is, if you don't track your metrics, how do you know what to improve the next time? Exactly. So this is all about, data analysis, and debriefing is all about what worked, what could be done better, so that next time we do this event and launching, we're not repeating the same mistakes over and over again, so that every launch, gets a little more optimized until you've got this really nice, smooth running launch plan that works.
Yeah. And the other piece, if you've got a team as well too, is you want to debrief with your team, because, if you're running an in-spa event or an online event, and if you're doing it online, then, maybe you've got one of your team members acting as the admin, on the back end, looking at, anything in the chat box, making sure that everybody's, getting in and whatnot. There's no glitches, so that you can just focus on running your event. And same within spa, you've got, if you have a team, you've got different areas where you've kind of spaced out your team members to be able to, work at different stations if you've got things set up like that. And so you may not be able to see everything clearly through your own eyes, because you're busy, interacting with your clients, or you're hosting, the main piece.
What the event is like. It's like you're in a bit of this, like,
exactly. You're kind of in this fog. Your shoulders are up here, and but you're getting through it, right? And so debriefing, not only helps you to track what your sales were and what your conversions were, but it also gives, the team members to be able to give you some insight as to what they saw as well too. And on top of that is when you brought them into the mix of having those conversations, is now you're getting more collaboration and more buy-in from your team, so that when you do future events, they've also had a bit of a, piece of pie, skin in the game as well too, and they feel included in it as well. So and again, just finding things out that maybe you didn't see, and having that collaboration to figure out how it would work better next time.
Absolutely. Yeah, team feedback is so critical, because as a spa owner, we also have a bit of the rosy colored glasses on all the time. We're always hoping for what we want to see, and our team members are really good at seeing what actually is happening. So, whether we're just so busy in the event, and if you're doing an online event, you're just focused on presenting, and that's all you should be focusing on. And so you won't necessarily see what's happening in the chat, or, that kind of thing. So it's so important for us to, as leaders, to have that debrief with our team. So, we can do things better that time.
Yes.
All right. So that we wanted to make sure that you understand how long a launch period is, and what, the kind of the generalities that need to be in a launch period, so that, yes, it's summer, and yes, fall seems a really long ways away, but we all know time marches on very quickly. And the next thing you know, we're going to be into September, and by September, you absolutely you need to be rolling on the launch plan. Right. Not just getting started on it, but, like in the actual project, things are, tasks are, they're assigned, there's due dates, there's deliverables, and things are happening. So we hope that you are enjoying the information that we are sharing about spa events and spa launches. We don't see a lot of this topic in the spa industry, and we just are so excited about where digital, how would you put this? Digital exposure is going for the spa industry. And you might have heard me say this before in other podcasts, but that COVID actually accelerated e-commerce by 5 years. 5 years. In 1 year, it accelerated by 5 years. And the spa industry, we've been behind like for a while. And it wasn't until COVID that a lot of spas finally got their butts in gear and actually created an e-commerce site. So what we want you to hear is that digital marketing and digital business is now for spas, you're in it. The opportunity has always been here, but you now over the past year, 15 months have seen how it can work. So we want to make sure that you know that there's these opportunities, that you can mimic what other industries are doing online, so that we as a spa industry, we can take a bigger piece of this pie that it's not really being utilized at all. Like it's not even by big brands.
It's not. And, we have quite a few digital marketing clients as well too, who have, because of COVID, have made that shift into whether it be, getting their e-commerce up or hosting virtual events or virtual skin, consultations or treatments. And, I know that it feels different and foreign to be, getting on camera and whatnot. But I mean, the ones that have done it and have stuck to it have done exceptionally well. And it is what has gotten them through.
Yeah. And not only just, and not even just kind of drag them through, but like one of our clients, her accountant, and she was closed, I don't even know how many months. Her accountant was like, holy doodle, you did $88,000 this year.
Yeah.
And you were closed a lot of it for COVID.
And she loved it, and her clients loved it. And she's going to, so it's not ending just because her spa is back open. She's keeping that opportunity open because she's meeting her consumers where they want to be as well too. So, it's worked for so many people, not just spa owners, it works for the clients as well too. So you have to think about that, this is what they want as well. Yes, they still want to come in, absolutely. But they're more than happy to be in the digital part.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's when I say, e-commerce has, kind of moved forward by 5 years, that's based on what the consumers, that's based on consumer behavior. They want digital options. Think about all the, the skin therapists, especially, like what a freaking huge opportunity this year was for them. Our industry's been asking, begging, how can I work less in the treatment room? I'm exhausted. How do I be a skin coach? Only a skin coach. How do I this was the year to do that. And so much opportunity with it.
And, talking about how do I work less? And so, yes, you might be looking, okay, I've got to spend, 5 weeks putting all this together. But once you've developed that, then you have templates for everything as well too. So, you've done a lot of the legwork already. Future events, you would just need to, tweak certain areas and different copy and imagery and stuff like that. But you've already got your foundation laid out.
Yeah.
Right. So
you don't have to
building yourself up to work less, work smarter, not harder, being able to take some time out of the treatment room and not run around like frenzy. Yeah.
And so, I also, I think we do need to speak to the spas and med spas who do events and that have events that run fairly well and make them, fairly good money. When you take that and layer on an actual launch plan that's very organized, very structured, very systematized, and that you've got a launch manager who is running the show, that, that allows the spa and med spa owner and the managers, it lifts out a huge amount of time and effort. So, this isn't just for like, if you're, you've tried events and they flopped, this is also for optimizing what you are already doing with your spa and med spa events.
Yeah. And I mean, with us as launch managers, I mean, we're very systemized and, it makes the day so much better. But, we didn't get into it at all, but we use a launch plan. So we actually, it takes a little bit of time to construct it all together. We put due dates, we put assignees to it and whatnot. So we have, we've gathered all of that information and we put it together in an actual workable plan as well too, so that we keep everything on track and in order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So that's it for us today. If you are planning on having a spa event in the fall, and we're kind of hoping that this is good timing for you. Maybe you've got a little bit of time in the summer to do some, kind of big picture thinking about your event and strategizing. But if you know that you want some help with this and you want somebody to be your launch manager and to do all this work for you, that's what we're here for. So just send us, depending on where you're listening from. If you are listening to us via podcast, you can send me an email at kirsten@kirstenfoss.com, or you can catch us on any of our social platforms by sending us a DM. That's Kirsten_Foss on Instagram and Kirsten Foss Coaching on Facebook and YouTube. There's YouTube as well. Awesome. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.